Continuing on, our next presenter is going to be Barbara Sullivan. Barbara works in true fresco as a medium. Her work celebrates and satirizes the monotony of everyday life. She teaches drawing foundations at the University of Maine in Farmington. She holds a BA in studio art and creative writing from UMF and an MFA from Vermont College. I'm glad I said the MFA very slowly and methodically. In 2007, she received both a Gottlieb Foundation grant as well as a Pollock Krasner Foundation grant. Barbara has been included 3 times in the Portland Museum of Art Biennial. She is represented by the Goldbeck Gallery in Rockland, Maine. She is shown widely in New England and in New York, where she is currently in a fresco show there called Off the Wall. She loves to cook, garden, cater, and cross-country ski, but mostly loves her studio practice. So with that, Barbara Sullivan, the floor is yours. Thank you so much for being here.
Hi, good evening. I'm going to just put this first slide up, and well, not yet, but and it's kind of an odd slide, but it's a slide of a decision that I made, and the decision was to begin painting when I was asked to go on a cross-country road trip. So. I had a college boyfriend from who went to MIT, and there were all these brainy guys who were always thinking up all these things to do. And anyway, Bruce invited me to go cross country, and he said, you know, we've got this bread truck, we're fixing it up, it's going to be a really fabulous trip. So he showed up at my apartment, and I said, I'm not going on the trip. But anyway, one side said revolution, the other side said don't tread on me, and they were arrested in like every state, all the way to California. So anyway, I did stay home that summer, and I was really held to my task, and I thought I'm going to really paint. So I started doing all these self-portraits of sort of daily quotidian things of that we all share in common, but they are also the things that embarrass us. We don't brush our teeth in front of people or clean our ears. And so anyway, I just kept working on these self-portraits about just very everyday, simple things that we, and these are from old slides, so they're kind of like oddly sized and stuff. They're not JPEGs. So anyway, yeah, they are pretty funny. And then I worked as a cook at a summer art program called Skowhegan School of Sculpture and Painting, and they have a fresco program there. And there were the founders of the school worked with people like Diego Rivera, and they did a lot of post office murals in this country during the WPA. And anyway, that first one was called Way Out West, and this is called Daddy Cooks Sometimes. And I was never happy working flat, and I don't really do murals, but I do narrative work. And like for sizing, they're way bigger than a normal head. And this is a life-size cook stove, and I started to like separate things in parts because they're very heavy. Each piece weighs about 40 pounds. And they're really done the real true way. I paint the plaster when it's wet, and okay. And then I started making these kind of small parts that I put together. This is just called pantry, and there are 30 jars there. And I started on the top, and I had one template, and I traced out that thing to make the final 30th jar. And and they're so a little off kilter. And then I started using the wall as a ground and making these whole room installations. And this was called One Room Efficiency, and it's a little, it was a one-room apartment that had like this person who lived in the kitchen and a bathroom, and this is the person who lived in that apartment. And I like to do some architectural pieces. That had a frieze that was like, I think 42 tiles that went around the whole top of the room. which is kind of a traditional, architectural fresco thing that was done with a frieze. And then I started doing things about kind of memories of childhood and stuff, and my mother would make us go to the hairdressers with her and stuff. So I did a piece, and I got a little grant actually to put sound in this. So I went to all these beauty shops and recorded sound, and it had a little trip. It was really like, Rube Goldberg, you tripped over this little thing and it made sound come out that was about verbiage in a beauty salon. This is a piece that I did, and it had a summer reading list about food and where it comes from. All the Michael Pollan books were on the summer reading list and stuff. And so there were just these direct connections between food and how we don't, often we don't eat around tables anymore. We have these relationships with, food joints where we touch the person's hand that hands us our coffee, but we don't eat with our families. And this is called traffic wrap, and it's somebody eating in a car. And then I started making these drawings they're about 9 feet tall, and well, actually, they're as tall as you want and 9 feet wide on photo backdrop paper with Sharpies. And I'm sorry these slides are kind of washed out, but the colored things that you see, like the typewriter, the wastebasket, and the chair, are actually 3D. And this is, I don't know, I think it's like 10 or 12 feet tall. And these are all birds that I've identified. And then there's a little thing with the bird bath comes into the room a bit, maybe about 1.5 feet or something. And these started to kind of evolve into these big mural pieces that I did. That long wall is 24 feet long. And I do these all with Sharpies, and I'm really sort of crazy. I make all these little teeny marks in it. A friend of mine came over one day, and I had like 5 Sharpies in my hand going, and they're like, "You are nuts." And so at the end, what happened is I started actually making these fresco forms and then painting directly on them with pigment when they were wet. So this is kind of what evolved from those large drawings. And I'm kind of still doing some of the big drawings, but, and I think that's, oh no, actually. And so this is called April in Paris, and it's a little Campier. Instead of a plate, I made a chair out of it with these little designs on it. And the slides are really not looking so good. But anyway, and this was, I did a show last summer about kind of where we get our taste, and these are these little these furniture that I made out of old horns that they're really fresco horns. I made it up, but when we have like industrial waste, or people start to make widgets out of things, like whether it's a horn or a little piece of dowel or something. And this is called A Gift to Be Simple, and it's these 3 shaker chairs and shaker boxes, and they're life size. Real.